Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back or welcome to another Bangs audio review. Today we've got the EPZ K5 for you. EPZ, I've only reviewed one other set, and it was the collab with Tipsy, right? The Star-in-One. And really liked that set. It was referencey, not overly bassy, a little bright leaning, but very detailed. It was a good intro, I think, actually, to both brands, really. They're not related, I mean, insofar as, like, same company, different name kind of thing. That's not what's going on there. They are two separate entities. Tipsy is its own, EPZ is its own. So, I have been curious about this set for quite a while, and I think the first thing that really kind of caught my attention, if you go to the Amazon, if you go to the Amazon, it's a jungle and there's a river and there's lots of alligators and crocodiles and snakes and stuff. But so don't go there unless you really want to. But if you go to Amazon, the website or the app, and look at this, you'll see in parentheses Sonion next to BAs. That's the only place that exists. So it doesn't exist on the EPZ website. It doesn't exist on AliExpress and descriptions, etc. So I had to. I messaged the rep, and then we exchanged emails, and we had a nice conversation back and forth. The BA drivers on the EPZ K5 is proprietary information. So, are they Sonion? Or are they custom? Are there two Sonion or two custom? I can't tell you that with 100% certainty. What I can tell you is they freaking sound like Sonion. Or they do, yes. Yeah, for sure. So, the K5, like, this is... Let's get into unboxing specs, because I'm going to put the cart before the horse here. I'm really excited about this set. I posted the graph a few days ago on the community. We're going to go over it again, but there's just so much good about this set, and very, very, very tiny little bit of bad, but not even bad, just not as good as the rest of it. Very tiny little bit. Okay, so in the box, I'll try to make this quick. The box is nice. For the $100 price point, these guys sort of fall in. I expect a decent unboxing experience. These provide that. You get the case, you get the earphones, and you get this very nice single crystal core copper cable that is also modular. There's the 2.5 balanced, and there's the 3.5 single-ended. Those are all the ear tips that I used. Go over those too. It comes with its own ear tips, obviously. You got a normal bore silicone. You get double flange, sort of narrower bore. And then you get these little plugs here that are just in one size, and they were too small for me to try, but flathead kind of thing, I guess. With the nozzle length, the way that it is, they offered a few different solutions for fit. And I appreciate that. The tips are good quality, and they're, different shapes. So that's pretty cool. Different shapes, multiple sizes. No complaints on the Unbox. Comes with what you'd expect. The modular cable is especially nice. There was not any need to cable swap. Specs. EPZ K5, 1DD, 4 BAs. Frequency response, 20 Hz to 20 kHz. Sensitivity is 114 decibels. Impedance of 30 ohms. And then the build is a stabilized wood faceplate and 3D printed resin. There are 3 frequency sound holes. Modular cable. And the graph, which you can't obviously see because of it's all gold, but I've got the graph, so don't worry about that. It's pretty accurate. Nice unbox, really, honestly, like no complaints at all. Back over there on the what used to be a wine rack, now a shelf for more of my stuff. Here's the case. case is really nice. It reminds me of the Hodor case a lot, actually. Anyway, here are stock tips. These work just fine. Here are JVC Spiral Dots, Divinus Velvet Normal Bore, and oh my god, Moondrop Spring Ear Tips, like for the win, or one of the wins. I never use those. I never use them. They were great on the K5. I mean, seriously, there wasn't a bad combination. I just finished up listening to, or I was starting to listen to Sugar by Sleep Token, and I had the Osla Crystal Tips in. You know what? Look at the nozzle here. We'll do a little build since we're already sort of into it. The nozzle is pretty like small, like in diameter, right? So you don't need gigantic wide bore ear tips to make them do their thing. They work. These guys actually had a tendency to come off in my ear, so that wasn't great. But the velvet tips, for comfort, for sound, it's hard to beat them, really. But, you know, in this set, I would say tips they're never secondary, really, but they're not as important. Because they sounded good with whatever I had on them. So, just for your information, whatever tips you've got, your favorite tips, you put them on there, you're going to be in good shape. On the build quality, you've got that stabilized wood faceplate. I chickened out and got the black. The black has some nice sort of gold and gray like flecks and detail in there. EPZ on the faceplate as well, and then this smoky colored resin that does allow you to see the drivers, so you can see the dynamic and the 4 BAs that are in there, and acoustic tubes and all of that good stuff. There's one of the main vents. I don't know if I was able to locate the other ones, but that's okay because it is well vented. And sound isolation as a result is not, I would say, at the top. It's above average, maybe. You know, like it was okay for doing things like dishes and vacuuming and stuff like that. No mowing. Sorry, I took that advice to heart, actually. I'm not mowing with IEMs in anymore. But overall, the feel is premium. They don't feel cheap. They feel well made. They look well made. They are very attractive. And you've got rose, purple, green, and black color scheme to choose from. And they all, like, I could have probably gotten the rose. I could have gotten the green. I'm kicking myself. I wish I had gotten the green because they look really cool. But I was just coming off of like 17 purple IEMs in a row, and I just needed something like classic black to get me back on track, which that's what I did. But, you know, looking back, I wish I'd gotten the green. Darn it. Oh well. All right, so build quality is definitely good. And the cable quality is solid. Single crystal copper with the modular terminations and straight up flush 2-pin connection point. All good. Very secure connection there. Those are not falling off, unlike some other sets that I have. So yeah, so we are roaring out of the gates. Price point of this is $100. I got mine for $76.60 during a big save event, or it might have been a super deal. I'm not really sure which, but one of the two. So they do dip under $100, fairly significantly under $100. If you're patient, you wait for them to go on sale. If you pay $100 for them, you won't be disappointed. This is like one of those sets. Before I get into sonic impressions, like this is a set that when I started this journey out a little over a year ago, this is a set that I was looking for. Like this is like literally the set that I was looking for. Under $100, high quality drivers, hybrid configuration, and extraordinarily well tuned, and just like an insane value. And this tops everything in that $50 to $100 price range that I have and that I've tried. these are number one. I put a little list together for y'all with my chicken scratch handwriting, so you can pause it and try to decipher it. I'll bring that up in a little bit. Sort of graded, didn't rank, but graded the different sets in that $50 to $100 price point. This leads the pack, no doubt. I swear, I really feel like those are Sonion. I really do. They just sound so freaking good. So, on to sonic impressions. I almost made it twice through the test tracks, but I did, albums. I did all 3 LPs from Sleep Token. I did Tool, Fear Inoculum, and 10,000 Days. I did Emperor's Sand from Mastodon. Jumped into a little bit of Hushed and Grim on that as well. I did the full Kid Cudi album. What is the album? Because I just started listening to it. That would be Man on the Moon 3. God, these are good for hip hop and and rap, and R&B for that matter. Actually, they cruised through the test tracks. There was not a weak point in there at all. They do have a limitation, and I'll bring up the graph so we can just take a look at that together. The limitation would be in the sub bass. So, and only noticeable in a spot or two. It's not like a glaring thing, because the mid bass is strong enough and punchy and slammy enough, whatever you want to call it, present enough. You don't really miss a lot of that rumble from the sub bass. But if you are a rumble head, not a bass head, but if you gotta have that sub bass, these are gonna leave you wanting a little bit. Okay? It's not like it's not present, it's just not super present, right? It's there, but it's just kind of there. There's your weak point. I'll point out the other one too. We'll get them out of the way. 2 things I didn't like. And I wouldn't even say didn't like. I would just say 2 things that I noticed. One of which that I didn't like. The one thing I noticed was the sub bass was a little bit like Slaughter to Prevail, Agony. The bass drops at 230, 245. Those are not super noticeable. If you know they're there, you're gonna hear them, but they're not super they kind of miss. And then at the beginning of Ascensionism from Sleep Token, that rumble that was present in the DMA, and some sets with a little bit more sub bass, like the SL41 Mark II, you're not hearing that in these. Okay, so sub bass, little limitation. The other thing that I didn't like, as you can see, the pipe cleaner is stuck in through the chin slider to keep it from just sliding randomly, which it will do unless you have a pipe cleaner. So that was my fix. Use your own fix as you like, or different color pipe cleaner. I don't know, I just grabbed one, it was handy. So this keeps the chin slider in place for me, which is important because I have to do my husbandly duties. I have to do laundry and dishes and vacuuming and stuff like that, and it just makes it more secure for me. So that was my little hack for the ultra slidey chin slider. And that's it. Those are the only complaints I have on this entire set. That's it. Video over. The mid bass on this is really just so freaking good. I was not expecting it to be, because when I just listened to it for a couple hours before I graphed it. I usually try to give it a full day before I graft it, but I was like, oh my god, this set is so freaking good. I want to see what the graph looks like, and I don't look at graphs like on Squig before I do my reviews because I don't want any predisposition or expectation. I just don't like doing that. I did the same thing when I was back in the wine industry, which I spent 20 plus years in. I didn't want to hear about a review. I didn't want to hear about a score. I didn't want to hear about somebody else's opinion of the wine before I tried it for myself. No, I didn't want to hear price. I didn't want to hear anything. I wanted to go in, take it as it was, and make my assessment. And by the end of it, I got pretty good at guessing price points and regions and grapes and all that kind of stuff. Like, not a som, I'm not like a sommelier, but I was pretty freaking good at it. So that's the way I'm training myself to do IEMs. Go in basically blind, not knowing much more than specs on the box and the driver configuration. This graph, if I had seen this before I listened to it, I'd been like, oh, that probably doesn't have enough bass for me. Yeah, what a bunch of shit that is. The mid bass is excellent. It is powerful, present. It is very well controlled. It's like the bass that I crave. It reminds me of the bass on, well, minus the sub bass. I like a little more sub bass, but it reminds me of the bass on the Hodor, right? Not just the case, but the bass. And then you've got mids, which again look like they might be a little recessed, but they're not, because vocals sound fantastic. Male vocals, female vocals, like Adele and Rihanna, and, you know, I mean, and dude from Sleep Token and Maynard, and you know, just like vocals are great. They're not hiding. They're not buried. They're there. You know, they're pretty freaking beautiful. Would I choose this as a critical listening set for like opera? No, probably not. But maybe. You know, because look at this. This is the coolest part of this set. If you had taken this ear gain and just shot it straight up, it could have been shouty. But they didn't do that. They stepped it. Look, it goes up, step. Right in this area here where it can get kind of shouty, they stepped it down. And then they brought it up a little bit later, and then that treble just extends all the way up to like 10K. It's just like, wow, you know? I mean, it's, excuse you, it just brings so much detail and so much soundstage. It's so, like, it's such a grand presentation to me, you know? It's not like, what do you want to, it's not like it's, chaotic, you know? It's very cohesive, very coherent, but it's big. It's really nice and big, but you can still just kind of like enjoy it. Okay, I will say this, that if you're treble sensitive, might just be on a little bit on the bright side for you. Okay, that's just me being more objective in my assessment. It could be, but I will say this, the treble on these guys, on the EA500 and LM, much spicier, much hotter, and much more fatiguing than on the K5. That's just how it is, you know. And I think it's driver quality. I think it's the fact that these are either Sonion or they're so freaking close of a clone to Sonion that they're getting that Sonion sound, which is sweet, polished, smooth, detailed, immersive. I have not heard better BAs on a, I'm going to call it sub 100 because you should pay less than 100 for it. Even if it's like 103 RRP, you're going to pay less than 100 for it. Okay? Not heard BAs better on any set for under $100. And maybe even 150. I mean, I did comp it with the Nova, and it kind of wiped the floor with the Nova. The one that really compared well, it was the SL41 Mark II, the Slevo from Meyer Audio, and it was close. I mean, it was way closer than I thought. I thought the SL41 Mark II was just going to walk all over it. No, it didn't. So, some very like positive comparisons. Speaking of which, here you can pause this and try to decipher it. Sorry, my handwriting sucks. Top 10 in 1. It's not really a ranking list. It's just a list of grades, you know. So these were the 10 sets that I picked, sort of compare it to in the $50 to $100 range. Okay. The reason I compared the Slevo and the Nova was because these are single DD4BA sets. So that's that comparison. This would be the price range comparison, and it was the only set that I graded a straight A. Highest other one was the Del C, and that was a little bit value weighted, but you know, A minus, B plus, it's sort of right in there, but it's not as good as the K5. It's just not. It just doesn't have the technical chops of the soundstage that the K5 has, or the treble extension. But it's still so freaking solid. The BQ EYZ Topaz scored well. The Plutus Beast, which we just mentioned in reviews, scored well. The Vesper 2 was on the lower side, and so was the Zero Red, Project Zero Red, Clinical and Truth here. Those were the lowest at B minus. Everything else was either B or B plus. Rapco Bridge, Shanling Sono is a sneaky good set, guys. Sneaky good for $80. And they've got the blue version now, like the blue and gold. I want that. Even though I already have the silver one, I still want the blue and gold one. Darn it. That's a recommend. EA500, EA500 LM. LM obviously gets the plus. The EA500 gets the B. And the B plus is if you can handle the treble. Okay? You got to be able to handle that really sizzly, sparkly treble. But if that's your thing, there you go. And the Fudu's there, and of course the Tipsy X EPZ Star and 1, my first EPZ adventure. Very interesting, right? Tipsy and EPZ are not related. They're not like two names under the same company. They are completely separate entities. They got together for the Star and 1, but talking to the EPZ rep and obviously to Harrison at Science Tipsy. They're not the same company. They're completely different, separate companies. They just got together for one, and they made a really good one. A reference-y style, but a really good one. Speaking of the EPZ rep, so hopefully you've seen enough of that. I have. So I started emailing because I wanted to know what the deal was on the drivers, and I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in the video, which is going to be over in the next 4 minutes, or it's going to cut off. But that's proprietary information. So what we also talked about was actually their dongle DACs. So I picked this one up. I think it was like 48 or 52 on a super deal. I love this. These two, talk about synergy. The TP30 and the K5. 2 peas in a pod. I mean, this sounded as good, if not better, than any of my desktop stuff. Including the new dongle DAC, the Onyx Alpha, which we'll get to as well. But his take was that the TP20 Pro was a better match because it took a little edge off of the treble. It didn't, to me, these two, that didn't bother me at all. But I guess the TP20 Pro is just a little bit toned down. I just loved this combination. I can't say enough about it. The fact that I was able to get both for shade under 130, man, I'm a happy camper right now. So yeah, super high quality. I'll probably give this its own review with the Onyx Alpha as a little comp. Because I don't do them very often, but I think both of these are worth it. So look forward to that. Highly recommended. My only grade A graded under $100 set that I have or have tried. The EPZ K5. Man, it's good. Like, I'm not saying the search is over, because I'm obviously going to keep searching. But that unicorn set, that one, RDT10 aside, please. Okay, that's goated. It doesn't get included in this stuff, although we will be talking about it with the Tiandarin TD20 in a couple of days. But this one gets it. Highly recommended. Get it on sale if you can. But it doesn't matter. I mean, you spend $100 on it, you're not going to complain. It's worth 2 to 3 times that much, easily. So, I can't say enough about it. Will I continue to look? Of course. But do I think I've found possibly the best sub $100 set on the market right now, even though it was released a year ago? I do. I think this got passed over, and I don't know why. But no longer. Man, I really want to experience more EPZ sets, so hopefully my new friend at EPZ will agree to get me some review sets. That would be amazing. That's going to wrap it for today, folks. I used almost the full 25 minutes and 38 seconds before my GoPro cuts me off, and it's probably overheating as we speak, so I'm going to wrap it up. In a couple of days, we'll do the RDT10 versus the TD20. That's going to be a fun one. For now, be careful, be safe, be nice. I love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. We'll see ya.